Hi, Jen.
Hi,
Um,
Teddy.
Here we are today. I'm talking to my business coach and my friend Jen Liddy, and she's also a client of mine. I've coached her, and I just wanted to chat with her a little bit today about her experience working with me and in my coaching program. So, Jen, I always think of you as the perfect example of somebody who you were like, I don't really know what intuitive eating is, but you just kind of knew that you were like done with whatever was happening with food.
Yeah, when I met you, we were coaching together and you were talking about your business, you were talking about your ideal client, and you would describe your ideal client and you would say, like, she's just so sick of thinking about food all the time.
Mhm.
She's so tired of dieting. She doesn't even know there's another option. And I was like, wait, that sounds like me. I'm tired of dieting and I don't know. I didn't even know that there was another option because it's either uh, what are the other, like, I've been doing, because and when I met you, had just, it was a year ago, Teddy, actually.
I know.
I had just turned 49, and I was like, for whatever how many years of my life, 40, probably 40 years of my life, I had
Mhm.
been just doing this thing where I beat myself up. And you offered this alternative way of thinking, which took me a long time to like grasp onto, but you
Yeah.
just kept talking about it, and it was just nice to know there was another option.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think you did and you were doing, I think, what a lot of women do, which is kind of like you're freaking out about your relationship with food and you don't know how to handle it. And so you like double down on the restriction and the
Yes.
exercising and all of the like just thinking you have to get yourself under control.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think what happened with you were like, wait, there's like another
Right.
alternative. I don't have to
Yeah.
totally like torture myself every single day.
Can I tell you the story of what happened that like had led me to the aha?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had gone to I had done like intermittent fasting and keto, and I had had a lot of results with that. And
Hmm.
then like the weight just came back on and came back on and came back on, and I was thinking about food all the time, and I
Hmm.
was restricting, highly restrictive. Like that was my way of doing it, was to be
Hmm.
highly restrictive and then to binge later on, right? Because I
Right.
was so overwrought with the whole thing. So I had
Yeah.
gone to a nutritionist who was he was a great, really smart guy.
Hmm.
And he looked at what I was eating and he's like, "You're eating about 900 calories a day."
Hmm.
And I was shocked. So I had
Right.
like restricted myself down to 900 calories a day. And he said, we're going to start by adding in some more food for you. And then my immediate reaction was panic, because
Right.
how can more food be better? If less food isn't working, how can more food be better?
Hmm.
And so he put me on this food plan, but it wasn't like anything changed mentally for me, because now I just had a list of what I could eat, right? And I
Right.
had to write it all down and look at all the calories and look at the protein and the fat and the carbohydrates. And I was still mentally exhausted by the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So I, when I met you at that moment, I was like, is this ever going to end? Like, is it ever going to get any better? Like, okay, I've done the thing with the full restriction and now I'm not restricted, but I still am restricted, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I was so tired. I was so
Yeah.
tired of thinking about food all the time.
Yeah. And I can totally relate to that. I think that was my experience a lot too. Just like this mental exhaustion. Like I don't know what the answer is, but I
Like,
can't do this anymore. You know,
this isn't it.
this is not
This
it.
isn't it.
And I got angry. I got to a point too where I thought I have wasted so much freaking time
Mhm.
and energy on this thing trying to change my body when I could have been like living my damn life,
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think maybe you had this experience too. It just feels like a lot of things open up for you when you kind of abandon that, and you can actually be your best in your business and be present for your family.
Well, I
I
think about how much time and energy I put toward other things, like obsessing about food, or
mhm,
obsessing about what to make,
right,
or the time and energy that I would put into beating myself up. Because for a long time, I could keep the weight off by beating the shit out of myself in my body,
right,
exercise wise, right? So
mhm,
I like, none of it was feeling good anymore. And I just
right,
didn't know how to make it feel good. And also by working with you, I realized my relationship with food was so messed up.
mhm,
It was like I hated food. I was afraid of food. It was not my
yeah,
friend.
yeah,
And so by the time I met you, I had really done so many things. And frankly, here's the thing that was the turning point for me. I was still doing those things, but they weren't working anymore.
right, yeah,
That
yeah,
was a big thing for me. Like, you can still beat yourself up, you can still obsess, but it's not keeping the weight off now.
Right. And so you're like, oh crap, I really got to figure something else out, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. I
Yes.
had that exact same experience. It was like this, I did have a very successful diet experience and lost an enormous amount of weight. And then it just like slowly crept back on like it does, because that's how we're wired. And I spent years just in this like, what the hell is wrong with me? I need to like get back on track, you know, get back on track. I kept saying that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally just had to go, you know what, this is not, it's never going to happen again. And it was very helpful. And I think this was helpful for you too, to learn about what dieting actually does in your body and why it doesn't work anymore. You know, it's not just that you're weak or you're not doing it right. Or
and I think that was a big thing. I really, because it's so much easier to blame myself, right?
Mhm.
Like, I'm weak. There's something wrong with me. Tomorrow I'll do better. Next week I'll do better. Next month I'll
Right.
do better, or I'll do it harder or more.
Right, exactly.
But I always say more is not better. You know,
Yeah, I know.
doing
You
more is not doing it better.
certainly not.
Yeah.
What's it like for you now? How do you feel about food now?
Food is I have a much different relationship with food.
Mhm.
I remember I used to feel so much shame around
Mhm.
food. So to be completely honest, one of the habits I used to have was like I would be gluten free in air
Right.
quotes, right?
Yes.
And then I would hide my eating of food that had gluten in it. So if
Mhm.
we had, like, for example, if we had a pizza night here, pizza and wings, and then like maybe my husband is also gluten free because he has celiac disease, and so I would make him a gluten free pizza, and I was supposed to eat the gluten free pizza. But
Right.
what I would do is I would kind of go into the kitchen and have some regular pieces of pizza with nobody watching. Like, it was
Mhm.
really shameful, hidey kind of
Yes.
behavior, right?
Yes. Mhm.
So that, and it never seemed like there was anything wrong with that. Like, there never seemed like this is something I should probably stop. This
Mhm.
is probably a problem. But it was just
Mhm.
like so ingrained in me to hide my eating, even though my husband doesn't give a shit what I eat.
Right.
I do know that there are women out there who struggle because their partners might say, you know, well, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing eating the fries, or stop
Right.
eating? You know, you don't have to eat the whole pizza. But my husband, it never came from him. It never came from any place else except for myself.
Right.
And so it was a very shameful, guilt-ridden, secret relationship with
Mhm.
food. And I never did the binging and purging thing, but I definitely
Mhm.
did restricting and then binging.
Yeah. And exercise is a form of purging too. I mean,
Oh, I
that
never
there is
thought
a
about
thing,
that.
exercise bulimia is actually a thing. So,
Well, if that is true, then I probably had that because I remember at one point in my life, I would exercise like 3 times a day just to
yeah.
kind of beat the weight off my
Right.
body,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't because I loved my body. It was because I hated my body.
Right. Right.
So now, so when I started doing the intuitive eating with you, and you and I had a conversation. I'm like, is this mindful eating? And you said, no, it was something very different. And that I had to learn what the difference was there. And that was a big aha, right? Like, what does your body need? I had no idea what my body needed.
Right.
I had no idea because I had never been listening to it forever.
Right. Yeah.
So there was that changed. So when I started doing this work and I knew I was going to jump in with both feet, I sat my family down and I said, what I have been doing food-wise has not been working for me.
Mhm.
And you're going to see me eat things that you have heard me say in the past I shouldn't be eating.
Mhm.
You're going to see me eat things that I've never eaten before in front of you
Mhm.
because I can't have it in the closet anymore.
Mhm.
And they were just like, oh, okay.
Right. Like nobody cares. What
They didn't care.
Right.
They didn't care at all. But that was the first step to me saying, you're going to see me do some things that seem weird to you because I for my whole life, I've been talking about like healthy eating, which was total bullshit because I really wasn't.
Right.
And so I had to get real with myself. That was a big thing, and admit what I was doing. And so, you know, we're a year in. It is not a perfect. It is a practice for sure.
Mhm.
My relationship with food is much healthier. You know, I really don't look at food now and think it's good for me or it's bad for me.
Mhm.
I'll look at food and say that usually makes me feel like shit when I eat it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes I still eat it.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a day. I won't say like normally I would have said yesterday was a bad day. Yesterday was a day I was having a lot of emotional struggles, and I ate a half a pan of brownies yesterday. And that normally would have put me in such a shame spiral that would have taken days to come out of, but I just kind of saw it for what it was.
Exactly.
So I would say that my relationship with food is calmer. It's not fraught.
Yeah.
I don't really think about food that much anymore. I don't obsess about it the way I used to, like planning for it and I get to have this snack at this time. And I'm much more in tune. You taught me this. I'm much more in tune with my hunger. I was like, never really understood hunger for a long time.
Yeah.
And I had kind of beaten the hunger out of myself. Like,
Yeah.
so I would only eat at certain times. It didn't matter whether I was hungry or not. Like, you can stave off hunger. And
Right.
you taught me, you know, how harmful that is physically and mentally and emotionally. So I would say my relationship is different. It's easier. It's still not like free. I still struggle with my body image. And
Yeah.
I want people to know, like, I'm not going to lie. I did gain weight. I did gain weight.
Yeah.
And that was from 40 years of not eating.
Right.
In our very beginning, you were like, I want you to eat whatever your body and your brain are telling you want. And that was like all the bagels and all the pasta and all the bread. Because I had never let myself eat it, right?
Yeah.
Or I had eaten it with shame.
Right.
So that was just a huge freedom. And I needed to do it to learn what it felt like to eat without shame.
Right. And I think it's important too to note that you did allow yourself to do it. It wasn't easy at first, but we spent a lot of time just getting to the point where you were like, okay, if I want a bagel every day, it's okay to have that, or, you know, whatever. And then I think it's also important to tell people that it didn't last, right? Like you let yourself really move through that.
It's true. And so now it's funny. Sometimes my brain or my body, it's hard to know which is the difference. Sometimes my brain will say, you want a bagel today. And I'll really like go inside and say, is that what I really want? Because every time I eat a bagel, I always have reflux. Like, why do I want to eat this? And some days I do, and I deal with the reflux. Right. And some days I don't, right? So it's much more of a kind conversation rather than like, you're just such a jerk, right? Like, so I don't do that to myself anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. I actually have the same relationship with bagels, and I think a lot of people do too, because there was this big thing in the 90s. Do you remember that? Like, there was 100%. Like bagels were like the worst thing you can possibly eat, like specifically bagels. So I do the same thing. Like sometimes I'm like, do I really want that bagel that's going to make me feel bloated and tired? Or, you know, and sometimes I have it and that's fine. You know, it's like, you just make that choice in the moment.
Oh, the other cool thing that was a byproduct that I want to tell you about is because I'm eating so much more intentionally, I don't eat as much.
Yeah.
And so that was a really interesting byproduct. Like, here's the psychology. If I was going to have pasta, I would let myself have pasta, right? And it was my one time, and I was never going to have pasta again. This was my last supper meal, right? Before I go off to the electric chair or whatever, I'm going to have my chicken parmesan and pasta. And so I would like gobble the whole thing up, not enjoy it because I had to get rid of it as soon as possible, right?
Right.
And then I would tell myself that was the last time I was going to eat it.
Right.
But now there's not that restriction on me. It's not the last time. Like, I could eat chicken parmesan anytime I want, so I can actually enjoy it. I don't have to pretend like it's the last time and shovel it down. Yeah,
exactly. It's like that like eat it while you can mentality, because it's not going to be here tomorrow. You know, you gotta get it while you can. Yeah, everybody I talk to deals with that exact same thing, because that's like dieting 101. You know, like, okay, I'm starting the diet Monday, so Sunday I get to, you know, eat everything that I'm not going to be able to have again. You know. Yeah. So you and I worked together one-on-one. You were a private client of mine for several months. And then now you've kind of sort of graduated into my Food and Body Love coaching program, which is delivered by email. And I think you're a great example of someone who's really benefited from the variety of tools in that program. It's not just cognitive, like learning stuff and talking about stuff, but it's really like tapping.
It's integrative.
Right. So tell me how that's been for you.
I love it because it's routinized, right? So on Monday you send this kind of thing out, on Tuesday so it kind of and as a teacher I love it too, because it speaks to all the different learning styles. Right. You can read about it, you can see me talk about it in a video, you can see me do some energy work so you get into your body. I'm going to explain for you heady people, I'm going to explain the cognitive stuff. For you need to integrate, I'm going to do the body stuff. Those are I save every guided meditation that you do for me, and I save all of the tapping so that they're resources that I always have to go back to. And it's consumable. You know how sometimes like a course that you take feels overwhelming because there's so many steps. You break everything down really logically to me. Like, it's very it's not like today we're going to talk about this and tomorrow we're going to talk about this. Like, it's very like there's a path forward. And
Mhm.
there's just very doable tools. It like literally takes less than 5 minutes a day to do
Yeah.
everything.
When I designed it with your help, obviously, you helped me get to this point. I really wanted to, I was like, what would, if, as a busy woman with a ton of stuff going on and a family and my business and my jobs and everything else, how would I want to approach this right now in my life if I hadn't already done this work? I needed it to be, and I know I've talked to you about this a lot, I needed it to be something where I didn't have to remember to do it every day. Like I didn't have to go sign into some site or get motivated to pick up a book or, whatever. It was just like in my face. And so I thought, well, email is something that everybody checks every day, right? So has that been helpful for you, just having it kind of pop up in front of your face every day? And not
Yes,
having
because I
to-
don't have to remember to do anything. It's just
Yeah.
there. And I'm a person who looks at my email every day, so it's just
Mhm.
there. And
Yeah.
then if I actually have made a mailbox just for your stuff, so if that's how
Awesome.
I save everything, so it's not like it doesn't like take up space in my inbox. I can just
Mhm.
move it to its own mailbox.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah, it's just like it's not a course. It's a coaching program, and it just shows up every single day and I don't have to think about it. So it's I'm seeing it every single day, right? I'm consuming good things in my brain every day about this topic.
Yeah. And I think it's really effective too. Like that's how we learn, right? Like it's not like this binge of information and,
Yes.
because you go away from that. And that's what I was seeing with my private clients a lot. It's like we'd have a great one-on-one session and get all of this work done and come up with all of this stuff. And then they go away for 6 days and don't think about it again. And then come back and go, oh shit, what was I supposed to be doing for the past week?
Yeah.
So I just love the way that this is just like little bits every day and really kind of keeps you on track. I am excited about it because I think this program is exactly what I would want for myself.
It actually got me thinking, how could I create a program like that on the stuff I do? But I think it's a great solution for people who don't want to go log into something, who need it's kind of like it washes over you every single day very gently.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you're having a good experience with it.
I love it.
So thank you so much for spending your time here with me today. Is there anything else? Do you have a little bit of advice for somebody who might be thinking about starting this journey in life and kind of healing their relationship with food?
I would say that it's worth the work because you're already doing a lot of work, right? Like you're fearful that the weight you're going to gain weight. You have fear around food already. This shift creates peace around food, and it is not easy, but it is worth it. It is worth it to not I remember saying to you, like, if I had put all the energy I had spent on all that other bullshit toward doing good in the world,
right,
or improving my own life, I would be in such a different place, because until you stop doing it, you don't realize how much energy it's taking from you.
Yes.
So that is the advice I would give, is just explore whether this is an option for you if you're looking for peace around food.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. I think it's important too. Like for me, the biggest motivation for me now is like, I want to be my best in the world. Like as women, we just are so limited by this feeling that we have to change the way we look before we can XYZ, we can really like live.
And one of the things that was helpful to me, and you and I talked about this, was I started looking for women who had a body type like me, who weren't small women, who weren't super fit women, but like other women like me who were kind of mid to late 40s that were doing good in the world. And I looked around, and the women who were making an impact, like they weren't necessarily thin or small or fit. And so it occurred to me that being thin is fine and being fit is fine, but so is not, right? And we don't need to be one in order to be effective in the world, in order to have to make a dent in the world. We don't have, like, one does not preclude the other.
Yes.
And that was a big aha to me, that like being a size 10 or size 6 or size 0 or size 14, which is what I am now, like none of it really matters in how I'm able to impact the world.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
That was a big aha for me.
I was just thinking about the clothing size issue. And, there was a time not so long ago when everybody made their own clothes, and there was like size didn't exist. It was just like, you just measured yourself and you sewed your dress, and we've just created this like hierarchy, you know what I mean, of value with these clothing sizes. So yeah, it's really, all of it's really meaningless.
Oh, I never thought about that.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for spending the time
Thanks
to
for-
be
thanks
here
for being
today.
I love telling this story, and I think it's an important thing that more women could find peace around if they just will do that, take that step.
Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you, Teddy. Yeah.
Oh.